knows a lot about the science stuff. Professor Dave explains.
Going back again to our chordate cladogram, we can see that the amniotes are the sister group to the amphibians. They include all reptiles, birds, and mammals, and they are a monophyletic group, so they all descended from a common ancestor. So all amniotes are more closely related to each other than to any clade we've already discussed. This means that lizards are more closely related to humans than they are to salamanders, although they do superficially resemble salamanders. Likewise, snakes are more closely related to dolphins than they are to eels, though they are somewhat eel-like in their appearance. That is because lizards, humans, dolphins, and snakes are all amniotes, while eels and amphibians are not. The first amniotes appeared around 306 to 312 million years ago, and their common ancestors are generally accepted to have shared a range of derived characteristics, such as amniotic eggs, thicker and more waterproof skin, rib ventilation of the lungs, stronger jaws, a high-pressure cardiovascular system, water-conserving nitrogen excretion, and an expanded brain and sensory organs. Let's go over these 7 characteristics now, starting with amniotic eggs. The amniotic egg is often cited as the one characteristic above all others that unites the amniotes. It is, after all, where this clade gets its name. In addition to an embryonic disc, or blastoderm, that may develop into an embryo, all amniotes have eggs with 4 extra embryonic membranes: the amnion, allantois, chorion, and yolk sac. The amnion encloses and protects the developing embryo in fluid that allows for growth. The allantois stores metabolic wastes, and the chorion surrounds the entire contents of the egg and is highly vascularized. Together, the chorion and allantois provide a kind of respiratory organ for carbon dioxide removal and oxygen acquisition. In some amniotes, like the birds, crocodiles, turtles, some snakes and lizards, and a few mammals, the entire egg is protected by either a hardened mineralized shell or a softer and more flexible one. The shell is often semi-permeable, especially in birds, allowing for gas exchange, but prohibiting water loss. In amniotes that lack shelled eggs, like nearly all mammals and many snakes and lizards, this gas exchange occurs within the body of the mother. Though some of these animals produce shelled offspring and hold them within their bodies, others, like the marsupial and placental mammals, lack shells entirely. In these animals, the yolk sac, which often stores nutrients to feed the developing embryo, does not store yolk, but instead forms a temporary or persistent yolk sac placenta to transfer nutrients, gases, and wastes between the embryo and mother. Note that in the placental mammals, the organization of the amniotic egg is different from our ancestral model, but all 4 major characteristics are still there. Note the amnion, allantois, chorion, and yolk sac. They may look different, but they still serve the same functions as our reptilian and avian cousins. Note that this placenta is actually grown by the embryo, not the mother. Also, the blood that circulates within the placenta doesn't actually mix with the blood of the mother. Instead, nutrients and wastes are exchanged through fetal membranes. A second major characteristic of the amniotes is thicker and more waterproof skin than found in the amphibians. Though the skin of the amniotes varies widely, it is often thicker and more keratinized than the amphibians. Keratin comprises a wide variety of structures, from scales to hair to feathers and claws, all of which the amphibians lack. Many amniotes not only have thick, impermeable skin, but also produce hydrophobic fluids, such as oils, that prevent the skin from drying out and limit water loss. Since the amniotes generally have such impermeable skin, respiration is often limited to the lungs. As such, the amniotes have a method of rib ventilation of the lungs, also known as costal respiration. Compared to the amphibians, amniote lungs are larger, have more surface area, and are ventilated by a different mechanism. Amphibians, like the air-breathing fish, fill their lungs through buccal pumping, which means pushing air from the oral cavities into the lungs, while the amniotes instead pull air into the lungs by expanding their thoracic cavity using costal muscles, or pulling the diaphragm or liver. This allows for more efficient air respiration, and some amniotes, like the birds, have taken this to the extreme. It's worth noting as well that although the lungs are nearly always the primary gas exchange organ for the amniotes, some species use other parts of their bodies as well, like the aquatic turtles that exchange gas at their pharynx and cloaca, or the many sea snakes that exchange gas across their unique skin. In addition to amniotic eggs, thicker skin, and costal respiration, the amniotes also have stronger jaws that often extend into the temporal openings, and a muscular mobile tongue. Many amniotes, like the mammals, are also capable of intricate mastication in order to coat their food in saliva and grind it down before it enters the stomach, while others, like the snake, expand their jaws and swallow their food whole. Compared to the amphibians, the amniotes also have high-pressure cardiovascular systems. All amniotes have separate pulmonary and systemic circulations. This means that the right side of their hearts receives deoxygenated blood, while the left side of the heart receives oxygenated blood. Some amniotes, like the mammals, birds, and crocodilians, have complete separation between these circuits and a four-chambered heart. Others, like the snakes, turtles, and lizards, have a single ventricle that is incompletely partitioned and allows for mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Regardless of separation, the amniote heart allows for higher blood pressure than the fish and amphibians, which is more adaptive for higher metabolic needs and pumping blood uphill against gravity. As a group, the amniotes perform water-conserving nitrogen excretion in the form of urea in the mammals that is often concentrated in the kidneys and reduces water loss. In the reptiles and birds, water is reabsorbed in the bladder, and nitrogenous wastes are excreted as a semi-solid mass of uric acid. Finally, the amniotes have a relatively large cerebrum and cerebellum, which is particularly pronounced in the birds and mammals, allowing for an expanded brain and sensory organs when compared to the amphibians. Some amniotes, like the lizards, snakes, birds, and mammals, often have keenly developed olfaction, and the birds have excellent color vision, often accompanied by superior long-distance vision and rapid image processing. And that concludes our summary of the amniotes and their unique characteristics. Looking back at our chordate cladogram, you probably noticed that the amniotes are divided into two clades, the synapsids and sauropsids. Let's move forward and check out these clades next.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel for more tutorials. Support me on Patreon so I can keep making content. And as always, feel free to email me, ProfessorDaveExplains@gmail.com.